I don't want to constantly be answering the question of like, who's the dad? Is it a friend of yours? Or
who's the father?
Right.
You know,
Right, like there's no dad.
Did you do IVF? Was there a turkey baster involved?
Yeah, the turkey baster one.
And I mean, I think it's funny, but it's also really inappropriate. I was listed on Gus's birth certificate, and a lot of people think that's enough. A lot of queer people think that's enough too. That doesn't protect you.
That doesn't hold up in court. You can put anyone on the birth certificate. Yeah. If our marriage suddenly became not recognized, there would really be no protection for Des with Gus and no protection with Theo for me.
We met on OkCupid.
Yeah.
And then we liked each other.
And then we went and got a beer for 8 hours.
It was a long first date.
In Union Square.
That was 7 years ago.
There you go.
7 years ago this month.
That's true.
We got married in 2015, and so January of 2017 was the first time we saw a reproductive endocrinologist.
I hope my measly amount of follicles contain a healthy egg that wants to fertilize and stick with it.
She had Gus in January, and I adopted him on July 11th. 7-Eleven, Slurpee Day.
We're in the process right now of me adopting Theo.
We started the adoption process with her while I was still pregnant with her. Most of the paperwork was done by the time I gave birth. I think we're just waiting for a court date for her now.
So I carried Gus using my genetic material, having a donor, and that meant that in order for us to feel safe, for us to have the safeguard that Des will be recognized as his parent, she would have to adopt him, even though we conceived together at a clinic. And we're married, right? Yeah. Straight couples legally also don't have the protections of sort of assuming parentage with assisted reproduction, right? It's the same situation as us. The difference is that parentage isn't questioned the way it is for a same-sex couple, where people know one of you isn't genetically related to that child. I don't want to make this like a weird stretch or anything, but let's say, for example, my mom is not particularly keen on us living together, our lifestyle as she calls it. She loves her grandkids, but if I died,
Please don't.
Right? I'm not sure that she wouldn't try to get custody of Gus.
Now that I've adopted Gus, he's mine no matter what. The official line is that the legal system can't keep up with assisted reproduction.
The laws need to change to protect people who are conceiving using donated genetic material so that they're protected no matter what. It's not just a gay issue, it's just very obviously and visibly a gay issue.
In the beginning, they said, for her, you're infertile.
You're infertile. I was diagnosed with premature ovarian failure. I have a really diminished ovarian reserve, so very few eggs. So I knew going in, like, I'm grieving this is gonna be hard, it's gonna fucking suck, I'm gonna get through this. So the clinic was like, well, if you guys feel comfortable with it, you could both start cycling and she'll probably get pregnant first, and then it'll maybe take you a while and we'll figure it out. I'm injecting Follistim. Poke it. Push it. Ta-da! Just got an embryo update. We're betting all our money on this middle pony right here. So it worked on the first try for me. What does it say? Pregnant. Like the first month, first try. But for her, it was like, well, there's no reason, like, we'll just try again. There's no reason this shouldn't work. It's gonna be fine. And then it's gonna be fine. And then it just wasn't.
I'm doing IUI, which is intrauterine insemination.
I am not pregnant. So that's 2 times not pregnant. I have done 4 cycles of IUI. Today I found out that the last cycle did not work. I was like, I need to make a decision, so let's just do it. It's not gonna work. It's the last one. I'm not doing it again. And then I got pregnant.
And then it stuck.
After I lost all my hope and all of my excitement and lots of money, then I got pregnant.
And it took Des over 1.5 years.
Like 1.5 years. Here she is.
I think for us, it's obvious. We are 2 cis women who don't have the ability to reproduce together. So it's not a secret, and there's no shame for us in the fact that we need a sperm donor. Like, we just do.
And in our case, I mean, people were going to question us anyway about how'd you
God.
get pregnant? Who carried the baby? Blah, 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 blah. What about your donor?
Yeah.
And so it's like, while we're talking about this, may as well talk about infertility and adoption and all these other things that come up that we kind of tell people not to talk about. You know, anything that's emotionally difficult, we tell people not to talk about. The fact is that talking about things takes away the power of those things and promotes social connection, and it makes you feel better. The adoption process was actually fairly quick. It cost about $3,000. It was expensive, felt a little degrading. Having to adopt a child who I was there for every step of his conception and you know, who is mine, was really humiliating.
Then you go to the courthouse for your hearing day, and it's just a bunch of gay families in the waiting room.
Yeah. A bunch of queers in one room waiting to adopt their children.
Yeah.
I think out of pocket, between the two babies, we probably spent $30,000. To be clear, $30,000 is nothing.
Absolutely nothing. We have friends who've spent over $100,000, who've taken out second mortgages.
All
the highs and lows were worth it.
Yeah, I mean this.
Highs and lows and credit card debt. That's our third baby. The credit card debt.
These kids were definitely worth it. I mean, I kind of didn't know how I'd feel as a parent. I was afraid that I would be a bad parent. I wouldn't know what to do, and it's so heavy. It takes over every thought that you have. And so if I didn't have her, or she didn't have me to go through that with, it would have been 10 times more difficult. I was worried that our relationship would falter in some way, and we still like each other.
Yeah.
I like you better.
You like me better than I like you, you're saying?
No, I like you better than I did before.
Oh,
which you used to say all the
definitely. I definitely like you better than I did before. Being a parent changes you.
Yeah.
And luckily, you know, I think it changes both for the better. Yeah.
Yeah, we're into it.